Welcome to Friday's Coffee with Job. We are in Job chapter 7, and Job is here now addressing God. For the first time he speaks to God, and there's an anger in there. There's a right use of anger, isn't there? In your anger do not sin, says Ephesians 4:26. Do not let the sun go down on your anger. The opposite of love is not anger, but hatred. Anger can be positive and wholesome, and I think we need to learn to handle anger appropriately. But there's also an anger which is sinful and destructive, and I'm not sure what's happening here, but it's in between, isn't it? Perhaps most of our anger is a mixture of both. He complains about three things. Service, first of all. Let's read this. Do not mortals have hard service on earth? Are not their days like those of hired labourers? Like a slave longing for the evening shadows, or a hired labourer waiting to be paid, so I have been allotted months of futility, and nights of misery have been assigned to me. He feels like a slave, a conscripted labourer. Worse than that, at least the slave gets the evening shadow. At least the slave or the hired labourer knows they're going to get paid at the end. Job is longing for the shadow of death. Instead of pay, there's just emptiness. In the words of those great Swedish philosophers, Bjorn and Benny, I work all night, I work all day to pay the bills I have to pay, but still there never seems to be a single penny left for me. There's no dignity, there's no joy, just months of emptiness. It's a bit like lockdown, isn't it? It's kind of like Groundhog Day. I'm not saying we're anywhere near Job's situation, but there does seem to be a certain degree of futility in all these things. And instead of rest, there's sleeplessness. When I lie down, I think, how long before I get up? The night drags on and I toss and turn till dawn. Endless nights and the shortness of life. I'm going to share something with you. This is what it's like here on this balcony at between 3 and 4 in the morning. Yeah, those birds know how to make some noise, don't they? Now, again, I'm not comparing the same situation, but you can be woken up at 3 in the morning and maybe there can be something else playing on your mind and you struggle to get back to sleep. I don't know if you've ever been in a situation where you're just dying to get some rest and you're so tired that you can't sleep. Well, that's where Job is at with this. And then there's horrible physical pain. Look at verse 5. My body is clothed with worms and scabs. My skin is broken and festering. Physical pain is just a horrible thing. In the words of Thomas Hobbes, life is nasty, poor, brutish, and short. Now, some pain, of course, can be good. Your finger touches something hot and it burns to stop you burning more. You have that sensation of pain. But I don't know, again, if you've been in this situation, but lying in a hospital bed in a lot of pain and you get the morphine drip and you just press that button to be relieved from your pain. But you know, a life without pain in this current world would be a life without any feeling at all. I was listening to Dennis Prager of PragerU talking about being a Buddhist and saying the ultimate is if your brother dies, you feel nothing. No, I don't think that is the ultimate. And I think of somebody like a woman I knew called Jean Graham, who's now gone to be with the Lord. But she lived in a multi in Hilltown in Dundee and was a faithful member of St. Peter's. A remarkable woman who's in constant pain every day. And yet her faith really carried her through in many ways. And I think of how, if we bring Christ into all of this, if we're saying life is how long before I get up, life is hard work, life is sickness, life is sleeplessness, who wouldn't want to end their life? But then bring Christ into this equation. Christ experienced hard work. Of course he did. He was a carpenter. Christ experienced sleeplessness. In the Garden of Gethsemane, for example, while his disciples were so tired they fell asleep. he was in absolute agony, or the pain that he suffered on the cross. Real, physical, as well as spiritual and emotional agony. And then think about how that applies to us. So from a Christian perspective, our work is satisfying in Christ, even the most drudging work. He gives his beloved sleep, and the Christians ultimately fall asleep in Jesus. That's what death is to us, it's just a sleep. And he takes all our diseases and pains, which doesn't mean that we don't suffer in this life, but it does mean that our suffering has purpose, and that ultimately it is all taken away. Those who have gone before us are free of pain. So, just think of that. Sleeplessness, restlessness, hard work, but Christ fulfills it all. We have hope in Christ. See you again on Monday, or if you want to join us on Sunday for Romans 8, feel free to do that as well. God bless you.